So, of course, the aviation people on board the Kirk said, no, 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 no. It's a perfectly good airplane. Don't push it over the side. But the decision was made to land more and save more people, and so they pushed the first one over the side. And it went over the side. It was close to the ship. Who knew whether it was going to hit the ship and damage it or not? It was one of those activities that you did like that, and you said, we'll worry about the other stuff later on because there's more people that are going to go into the water.
Maybe that is the first time you saw, they push the helicopter away from the ship,
Yes.
for the war history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So how many helicopter been landing?
I believe the number was 13 total. 13. Now, we pushed, I believe, we put 11 eventually over the side, one by one, of course. And we kept 2. One was the general's airplane, which was brand new. And we had a pilot on board, Rick Sauter, who was an ex-U.S. Army Huey pilot in Vietnam. And he transferred over to the Navy and began to fly helicopters in the Navy. Well, he said, no, let's keep that one. Let's figure out a way to keep that very, very perfect airplane. So he moved it and landed it on the fantail, which is below the flight deck, aft, the very back end of the ship, right? And he landed it there. I have no idea how he landed it there because it's not a flight deck back there. It's windlass and capstans and chocks and all kinds of things sticking up out of the deck. So he landed it there carefully, and then we were able to land eventually a few more. And then he kept the last one, I believe, and that stayed up on the flight deck. So 13 total, and I don't know how many people, but there were probably something like 8 or 10 or 12 people on every one of those helicopters. And they were our first new friends. They were our first evacuees from South Vietnam.
So during that 13 landings, any minor accident?
Yes, I didn't, once again, I didn't see it, but I heard that tail rotors of one of the helicopters landing hit, or the main rotors of the helicopter that was landing hit one of the tail rotors of ones that was sitting there. Pieces went all over the place. The helicopter still was able to land quickly, and nobody was hurt.
Wow.
There was damage to the helicopters, of course, but that was nobody was hurt in most of these evolutions.
Okay, so the total people Kurt the rescue is more than 200?
Something like, well, on the helicopters, I would say that's a little high, but I'm not sure. I didn't make the count. But I think there were 10 or 12 people on every one of those 13, so 130, 150. Yes.
Any rescue from the water, or just from the helicopter?
Oh, yes. There was at least one rescue from the water that I know of. Later on, now this is daytime now, the next day, a pilot...
You're talking about what next day is the April...
April 1st?
April 1st, okay.
First?
The May 1st. That's May 1st.
Was it May 1st?
Right.
Okay.
Because the helicopter get out of Saigon, I believe it April 28, 29, 30th.
Okay. So during the daytime, then a large helicopter came out, an H-46 Chinook, big transport helicopter, transport 50, 60, 70 people. It's made for transferring many platoons, Army platoons or Marine platoons. So we saw this coming out, not an enemy, no guns. We saw this airplane coming out, and we're talking to them on the radio now. Now we have our friends who talk very good Vietnamese and some English, so now we have excellent communications with the helicopters, and pretty good communications in the CIC where our Vietnamese-speaking friends were now. So this big helicopter comes out, and he wants to land also. Too big, huge. So we say to him, okay, you can't land here. Go to a larger ship where they have a larger larger deck. He said, no, they won't take me either. He's already been there.
Oh my goodness.
Too big, you know, not enough room, whatever the reason was, we didn't know. So he hovers over the fantail, and people start to jump. They just start to jump out.
Not in order.
No, we didn't know they were coming.
Your guy refused them, but he still you know, tried to.
We refused him to land on the. So he just hovered over the.
Oh my goodness.
Over the fantail.
How far? How high? You know, from the deck. You know.
Oh, maybe.
So just enough for the
maybe
people.
100 feet. 100 feet at the beginning.
Okay.
Right? And then he got lower and lower when it was safe. But
So how low until the people jump out from the?
Maybe I don't know, maybe 50 feet or so. He's coming down, and then people are starting to jump out, and babies are being dropped. And we're catching babies and young children.
Do we have that in the film? Catch by the, you know.
I don't know.
You know? Oh
I don't know.
That's
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing that on film, but certainly everybody.
They drop the people.
Everybody remembers. Yes.
And then next.
Absolutely. And then the fellow, the helicopter was empty, and of course he knew he couldn't land, and he was running out of gas, once again. And so he said, "I'll tell you what I'm going to do," to the Vietnamese-speaking aviators on the ship now. I'm going to take the helicopter out 200-300 yards from the starboard quarter of the ship, and I'm going to push the stick right, and I'm going to jump out left. And everybody goes, "Oh, no. You'll be killed. Certainly you'll be killed." He said, "Don't have any choice, because you can't land that big helicopter on the water." So we saw this. I saw this. He flew out to that 200 or 300 yards off the starboard quarter. He put the stick right, and we saw him jump out the left. And the helicopter keels over like this, and the blades hit the water and explode, and pieces all over the place. We have many pictures of that. Pieces of helicopter flying all over, and he's swimming away. And our young men put a small boat in the water and went and picked him up.
That is Chinook's story. How about, you know, you pick up the people in the water? You know, they came from the boat, the tiny boat.
Yeah.
You pick up any?
I don't remember that. I've heard that story, but I didn't see any of that. No.
Okay, so after the couple of days, you rescue, and then let the Vietnamese pilot, you know, who flew the helicopter, and you know, and what happened next?
Well, then we began. What happened next was called Operation New Life, and there were orders. There was no. As a matter of fact, I was the guy who maintained the operation order for Operation Frequent Wind. It was this thick, many, many pages. And the captain came to me and says, "What does the op order say about this?" I said, "Sir, it's not in there. It's not in there." So Captain Jacobs made up his mind that he was going to take control of the situation. And he was, of course, sending messages to the Blue Ridge and our squadron commanders and the other vessels that were in the group. And everybody said, "Stand by, wait." You know, and well, I've got people here. I can't wait. So he took charge and sent around the vessels. We had Vietnamese speakers on board, and they would talk to whoever had radios in HQ3, HQ14, whoever, and say, "Get closer.